The college football playoff rankings are out, and Notre Dame is the number 10 team in the country. We're going to talk about that. We actually went live 8 minutes earlier than I planned on because we didn't really know when the playoffs or the rankings would initially drop. So they went, I think it was like 6 minutes in, they started announcing them. So that was awesome. So Robbie Toma, former Notre Dame wide receiver, and Blue and Gold beat writer Tyler Horka will be joining us shortly. And I'm Mike Singer. I run the Blue and Gold YouTube in recruiting operation. With me, Eric Hansen, senior writer at Blue and Gold, decades of experience. And there is Robbie Toma. Robbie, how you doing, my friend?
How we doing, fellas? Sorry, trying to get my headset working.
Good. You look good, man. Maybe give us the horizontal look so we don't get the black bars on the side. As you do that, let's talk about Academy Sports and Outdoors. Academy is proudly honoring our brave military and first responders for everything they do to protect our nation and serve local communities. Their unmatched dedication and countless sacrifices deserve recognition. From October 19th through November 11th, Academy is giving them a salute with 10% off sports and outdoors purchases at local Academy stores and online at academy.com/discount. Exclusions apply. We lost Robbie. There he is. All right, so we have the full rankings right here. There's Notre Dame at number 10. Eric, any surprises looking at this right away?
A couple for me. Iowa's inclusion at all is a surprise, and yet the group that on ESPN group that we're talking about this, they made a great point, and it helps Notre Dame too. That we talked about this on Sunday, Mike. That strength of schedule metric changing, there is now such a thing as good losses. And I think Iowa's close game with Indiana really helped pull the Hawkeyes into this top 25. I'd say probably the two Big 12 teams being ahead of Oregon and Utah being as high as they are. They definitely like the Big 12 more than I thought. They don't like the ACC very much. They don't have a lot of respect for the ACC. Their highest team is 14, and that's Virginia.
Yeah. Robbie, thoughts on Notre Dame, number 10, over some one-loss teams in Virginia and Louisville and Georgia Tech, those ACC programs, and of course 8 spots higher than Miami.
I said this in the pod right after the game, but I didn't think Miami was that good, and unfortunately we lost to them, but it kind of showed last week and that rough game that they had. But one of the things that is shocking though is that I think Indiana is ranked higher than A&M. Ohio State, obviously they won last year, so and they're undefeated, so I think they're deserving of the number 1, but I do think A&M should be ahead of Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. Horka, initial reaction. Tyler Horka, Blue and Gold beat writer with us. What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? To Eric's point about the ACC, like when they did all the rankings and I was typing those in for our story at blueandgold.com, which you can go and see. And then I was trying to catch up and circle back and go to what the projected bracket or the bracket would be based on these rankings. And I saw Virginia in the bracket and I had to do a double take. And I was like, oh my gosh, number 14, Virginia is the ACC's highest ranked team in this poll. So Virginia gets in as the 11th seed to play Ole Miss. And then another crazy thing about these particular rankings is that Memphis is not even ranked in the top 25, and the Tigers get in as that group of 5 or 6, whatever it is now, champion to play at Georgia. So those two at the bottom were interesting to me. And then obviously you got Notre Dame right there, a spot clear of that 11 spot. So it's like, I see the upward mobility. I don't know about you guys, but keep winning. If this is what it is now on November 4th, then who was it, Mike, where we were talking about maybe Notre Dame hosting a college football playoff game? Like I can see the path toward that if they take care of business now the rest of the month of November.
A couple quick questions for Eric. One, it's the highest ranked group of 5 team that gets in. What if there's not a group of 5 team?
The committee continues to rank teams beyond 25 until they get to a group of 5 champ. And that's what they did. That's why they put Memphis in there. So I don't know if Memphis was 26 or 29 or whatever, but they were the highest ranked group of 5. So they'll continue the rankings. They'll extend them to get a group of 5 champ.
So, Eric, when we looked at the AP poll, you said that Notre Dame was the last team in if you use the AP poll. And the AP poll, like we've talked about, Eric, it's pretty close. Like it's the top 5 is the exact same from the AP poll to the college football playoff. The CFP lower on Oregon than the AP. AP has Oregon at 6. CFP ranking has them at 9. But again, it's pretty darn close. But anyways, the AP poll had Notre Dame as the last team in the field as an at-large, and that is the case with the CFP. Like you guys are talking about, Memphis in the 12, Virginia being the ACC team, and Notre Dame in the 10. So if the playoffs were today, guys, Notre Dame would go on the road to Provo. Tyler, would that be a fun road trip for you guys? Obviously, that'd be a flight, but would that pass?
Yeah, I just tweeted something out, and I was surfing through photos of Lavelle Edwards Stadium, and I was like, you know what? Couple nights in the Salt Lake City area, and get to go down to Provo. I think that's pretty close to Salt Lake. I think that's where you go into. But regardless, it's one of the more beautiful sites and settings in college football. What stinks is you get your hopes now up on November 4th. This is going to look so much different come December 4th or around there when they're going to do the final rankings.
Yeah. So, guys, a question from Rip Jules. Win for more and we're a lock. Look, at this point, the answer, we can now have this discussion, I feel like. The answer is yes. Right? I mean, how does Notre Dame not make it? Does anyone have it? Robbie, did I hear from you?
We called it after that second loss. We said if they win out, we're in.
Yeah.
But now looking at it, I mean, I wish the season ended today because I do like this road. I'm a big fan of Kalani Sitake, head coach at BYU, but I do like the road of playing BYU and playing IU in order to make it to the again. And then that would be an unbelievable.
You and that damn pen, Robbie.
Oh shit! I forgot. Oh, my bad. I forgot about that damn thing. But no, I wish the season had ended today because this road would be
not the count.
Easy, but I think we could go right. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah. Any other thoughts, Robbie, from you on this top 25? Anything else stand out to you? And you talked about the A&M and
no, I mean after I'm a little not shocked that obviously Texas had a big win this past weekend, but I'm not too impressed with Texas in its entirety. But to see them up there, I'm happy for that Manning kid. I know he had a rough start, so I do like Texas, and there's also a local kid from Kahuku out there playing some really good ball at linebacker there. So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of their alumni either, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Eric, your thoughts on Rip Jules' question about is there any scenario in your head off the top of the dome that would like Notre Dame would not make? Like how would the Irish just really have to stink and win? Like obviously we're winning out, right?
Right.
It would just be very unimpressive wins. Miami and A&M start losing. Like what would it have to take?
Well, if you're Notre Dame, you're at 10. You're on the bubble, so you're on the right side of the bubble. Let me talk about first what's in their favor. Playing a Navy team that's going to have a winning record will help. The Pitt is ranked will help, and Pitt has a bye, so Pitt likely will also be ranked when Notre Dame plays Pitt. That's helpful. Now, Pitt could also lose every game that they have left. They have Georgia Tech and Miami. The comparative scores are going to be interesting between Notre Dame and Pitt, those other two teams in Pitt. Where it could go sideways for Notre Dame is if they had, let's say, a key injury to a key player, let's say Jeremiah Love or CJ Carr, and the committee thinks, okay, this isn't the same team without those guys. Or really slopping it up against Syracuse and Stanford. They don't have a lot of room for error, but they also have some opportunities. BYU and Texas Tech are going to play each other. One of them is probably going to drop behind. Oregon plays USC. Ole Miss and the Egg Bowl could be interesting. Georgia has Texas and Georgia Tech left. So there's some weird things that can happen. So I don't think a lock is the right word, but feel pretty good about Notre Dame's chances at this point.
Yeah. I guess, like, man, how high, Horka, do you think Notre Dame could get? I mean, if what they finished last year, and they were in the 7th seed, and I think they ranked 5, right?
Right.
Yep. Here's a couple of things that you're kind of rooting for if you're Notre Dame, like right off the bat here. Eliminate Texas from this equation, because Texas is in this equation. They've got some big games left. If Texas wins out, a 10-2 Texas has a better resume than a 10-2 Notre Dame. And that's a little bit scary because Texas goes to the SEC championship game, could maybe lose there and still get in over Notre Dame. So you're rooting for Georgia to beat Texas. See you later, Longhorns. You're out of there. You're rooting for Oklahoma to take on one more loss. See you later, Sooners. You're out of there.
They play Alabama this week.
Yeah, and then you're looking at, like, those teams are a little bit scarier to me than Utah or Virginia or Louisville. So root for those teams that are right behind you to get out of there. And then, like you said, Mike, to the other side of that, root for Oregon to take on one more loss. I need to look at some of these schedules to know how possible some of these are. But the Big 12 is absolutely bananas. And I guarantee you BYU and Texas Tech probably play a game that they can lose the rest of the way. And if Notre Dame is this close to them in the rankings right now, maybe a 2-loss Notre Dame has a better seeding than a 1-loss BYU. Definitely a 2-loss Texas Tech. Like, Texas Tech loses, they're behind the Irish. That's just what it is. That's what these rankings are telling me. And that's my final point on all this is awesome starting place for Notre Dame to be at number 10, because what college football playoff committees of past have told us is that what we see you as right now, if you remain that team or even get a little bit better, it's going to take a lot for anyone behind you to jump you, because we think that you're better than them right now. And again, like, Texas beating Georgia would be scary because their resume flips on a dime if that happens. But right now, the committee's telling me, Notre Dame, you're better than Texas. You're better than Oklahoma. You're better than every team that's behind you. And I like this starting place for Notre Dame because they're solidly in, and they can just remain in if they keep taking care of their own business.
Yeah, the discussion about Oregon, I mean, they have USC home, Washington on the road, and at Iowa. That's all teams ranked between 19 and 23. The Oregon's probably going to drop another game. And then, the guys on the ESPN broadcast were talking about who's Oregon's most impressive win. Is it Northwestern? Like that, it's not Penn State, or maybe Penn State on the road. Penn State is god awful. So you would assume that Oregon would drop behind Notre Dame, but definitely rooting for, I think, BYU over Utah. You want the Big 12 to be a 1-bid league. You want Oklahoma to lose against Bama. I feel like the teams above Notre Dame, right? Your Bamas, your Georgia, even the teams that you guys just be good. We want the teams around you. You want the teams around you, I feel like, in my opinion, to really lose and just make no doubts. That's kind of how I felt. Like a BYU and a Texas Tech, you definitely want BYU. Like Oklahoma, Bama, I feel like Bama, you're good at 4, stay up there. But Oklahoma, get the hell out of here. Like, does anyone disagree with me on that? Like,
no. That's like I said, Georgia beat Texas. See you later, Texas.
Yes,
Alabama beat Oklahoma. See you later, Oklahoma. That you're rooting
Louisville lose. The ACC, I feel pretty good about Notre Dame's. Eric, we talked about that on our Sunday show, the round table that Horka joined us on. Oh wait, he didn't. Well, I was like, man, I don't know how the committee's going to view this ACC comparatively to Notre Dame, but it feels like pretty good, Eric.
Yeah, the Georgia Tech loss on Saturday to NC State really made a statement about the ACC, given the fact that Notre Dame really, really handled NC State. NC State has beaten both Georgia Tech and Virginia, the two of the teams that could play for the ACC championship. And that Notre Dame handled them so one-sidedly is a big feather in Notre Dame's cap. The other thing that could happen to BYU, they could beat Texas Tech and lose to Cincinnati. They still have to play Cincinnati. So you want as much parity at the top of those two conferences, the ACC and the Big 12, as you can get, because that helps Notre Dame.
If Georgia Tech beat NC State, Georgia Tech's probably in the 10. Would you agree?
As an undefeated team, I think they probably are in the top 10.
And then Notre Dame would be the 11 and just on the outside looking in. That would be my guess. Or would they be – no, Georgia Tech.
Virginia would be knocked out. Notre Dame would be in. And that's
correct. Yeah, because Virginia's number 14. So Notre Dame would still be in, but a little bit more by the skin of their teeth now. Robbie, I'm interested for the former player thought on this, as media guys like us are debating all of the little different things on the schedule. Like, what's the team thinking right now as someone who,
No, I think
in the BCS era, but had to go through this in November.
Yeah, I think it's fun to kind of go over all the possible scenarios, and even you saying, oh well, what if Georgia Tech had won, but they didn't. So it is fun to kind of look at it from that perspective. But I do kind of recall watching the SEC championship when it was Bama versus Georgia, and watching those teams duke it out and kind of looking like, oh shit, these guys are pretty damn good. So but like you guys had mentioned, you want to see these guys ahead of us and kind of the top 4 or top 5 stay there and kind of weed out the guys that are pretty close to us, because if Texas does end up taking on Georgia, that like Tyler said, it's going to flip their ranking, and that's something that we don't want.
And somebody said in the comments, well, that'd be fine because then Georgia would drop behind Notre Dame. I wouldn't be so sure about that. With the committee. They could, especially if that game's close, they could be like, well, 2-loss Texas and 2-loss Georgia are both better than Notre Dame, so they're gonna. And then Notre Dame starts. That's what Notre Dame does not need. Like, you want eliminations. It's like you're playing a Royale game, right? Like, I don't know if you guys are Call of Duty or Mike. You're why is it eluding me?
I'm Miss Pac-Man.
What is that game?
Boy.
Fortnite.
Oh boy,
hey, got it.
Just kidding.
Well, hey, Tyler, sorry to cut you off, but do you guys remember in 2012 when I think it was Kansas State and Oregon blew it? And
yeah.
I think if they don't blow it, I think we're national champions, to be honest with you. But I'm not a big SEC lover, but I do respect that brand of football. So hopefully those guys can kind of tear themselves apart and allow for us to sneak in there.
I will say, if you mentioned the word respect, Robbie, if you want respect, you got to look fly. And that's where we're going to talk about a sponsor for today's show, ESQ, an awesome clothing brand that is, clothing brand. I mean, it's the go-to spot for the best handmade custom suits, sport coats, tuxedo shirts, and more. And it's seen on all your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches. It's founded by Notre Dame alum Ga Wang, and ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. They have showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka, so book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com. Marcus Freeman is rocking ESQ. So why don't you as well, Notre Dame fans? Mention blue and gold at your appointment with ESQ and receive $10%, a little bit more than $10 off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. Going to the chat, J-Rose said lots of talking heads are salty about Notre Dame's ranking. I mean, like Eric or Robbie, like, what do you think they're saying? I mean, obviously we're not watching it. Like, what do you think people are salty about right now? I feel like it's a fair ranking for Notre Dame. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was muted. I'd muted Robbie.
You're good, buddy.
Go ahead. Okay.
The ESPN guys weren't talking trash about it, so this must be people on Twitter and so forth. So, I mean, there's always going to be people that disagree with the rankings. That doesn't really bother me.
I mean, I think Miami blowing it didn't help. That was something that we really talked about after the second and third week, is that we need those A&M and Miami to keep winning. Obviously, A&M is still doing their thing, but it's going to go back to that stupid we're not in the conference talk where guys like that get salty about that, which I think is ridiculous. So as long as we keep winning, I know you didn't want to say it's a lock, but I believe in my heart it's a lock, and that's not bias at all.
Speaking of Yo-Yo Sanderson, the most respected, guy out there, says, like I told everyone, a 10-2 Notre Dame team is 100% in and fighting for a home game. Man, I'm tired of being right. Listen, we all thought that a 10-2 Notre Dame team would definitely be in, and it was a potential, but it was not like you needed some things to happen. And those things have happened like that. It's like you expect the unexpected to happen in college football, but you like in our line of work, like we have to look at this more objectively and not just be like, well, of course those things are going to happen. We expect them to happen, but like I said, expect the unexpected, which could be the unexpected that the expected happens. Does that make sense?
You got me lost, Mike.
I got myself lost, but you guys.
But expect the unexpected. There you go.
Yeah. If it's Andy and Ari, I know that they were there. Ari was big on the Miami needs to be in, and I was discussing this. I was playing more devil's advocate than anything on Sunday with Eric. That like, man, the Miami and Notre Dame game, like that head to head with the same amount of losses, but I did really like Eric's point that head-to-head loses its I don't know if merit's the right word, but when there's two losses, if it's just
it loses some octane.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. And then I also want to say something on the people losing their minds about Notre Dame thing. These are probably the same people who love the Texas A&M story, right? Like Texas A&M might be the best team in college football. A lot of people are angry that they're number 3. Maybe they should be 1 or 2. A lot of people who are probably hyping up Texas A&M are crapping on Notre Dame and saying, oh, man, what is Notre Dame in the top 10 for? I agree with the ESPN panel when they released the rankings half hour ago. A&M might have the best win in college football, period. And you know what that means? Notre Dame is a pretty dang good team if you think that Texas A&M has the best win in college football. Yeah. So you can't have it both ways. I think both teams are very, very good, and that's what the committee told us tonight.
Robbie, no, please. I was about to ask you a question. So go ahead.
I thought another great point that the panel had brought up was the trending down, right? So we lost head to head, but Miami is clearly trending down at this point in the season. So, and although BC was a little bit of a bang up gang, but I do think that we're definitely trending in the right direction. So that head to head definitely loses some steam there.
Yeah. Robbie, I feel like 10 years ago, even more recent than that, like, around the 2020 season or so, like, I feel like nationally people talking about Notre Dame would be like, oh man, Notre Dame, they can't hang with SEC speed. Like, oh, look back at the Bama game and the title game, like, or, just any, like the Notre Dame Bama games over the years and even Clemson 2018. That's gone. It just is. So Horka's point, bringing up A&M's got the best win in the country at Notre Dame. Like nationally, Eric, and I'm interested for your take on this. I feel like the national respect for Notre Dame is great. It is improved a ton in these talking heads. Now, do some of them diss Notre Dame and whatnot? Sure. But I feel like, Greg McElroy is talking up Notre Dame all the time. I feel like Booger McFarland is always talking up Notre Dame, thinks they're one of the best teams in the country. Nick Saban thinks Notre Dame's a top 5 team in the country. Like, I feel like that is a lot different than 10, 15 years
ago. Did any of you guys attend the Sugar Bowl? Because last year
you did.
Last year I was able to check it out. I had some
Robbie tried to sneak into the game.
Yeah, right. I'd blow a hamstring right away. But I kind of realized that we can compete with these guys after the first play. I think if I'm not mistaken, they ran some kind of like misdirection reverse type play, and we had 6 or 7 guys around the ball, and our speed and our size looked like it was matching theirs. So to your point, Mike, I think the country is seeing that Notre Dame can compete with these guys.
Eric, as a longtime writer, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think beating Texas A&M on the road last year was 100%. A big perception shift. And then when Notre Dame got into the playoff, as Robbie mentioned, you beat the SEC champ by double digits. You beat Penn State in a huge game on a neutral field, and you beat Indiana, pretty handily. The teams that you say, well, their comeuppance is going to be against this team, that didn't happen. And I think Marcus Freeman, the vibe he gives off and the way that the team just kind of swaggers on the field, it changes people's perception. I was talking to Jalen. I did a story on Jalen Sneed during the playoff, talked to his coach, BJ Payne, from down at Hilton Head, South Carolina. And he was saying, you know what? Adon Schuler and Jalen Sneed look as fast as anybody at their position in the ACC. He goes, and you see those guys with their shirts off. He goes, if I look like that, he goes, I'd go in McDonald's without my shirt and order food and try to get them to kick me out.
Let me jump in on that. Those two specifically, as the recruiting guy here. Schuler, after he committed to Notre Dame, his top three is Maryland, Penn State, Notre Dame, right? Then he plays his junior season, and Ohio State and Georgia come in and try to flip him, and he sticks with the Irish. Jalen Sneed, from, like you said, Hilton Head, South Carolina, had the Gamecocks after him, had, Bama, Georgia, Tennessee, Oregon, had all those schools. Like, the recruiting battles that Notre Dame is winning now, like taking those top recruits from those programs, like Notre Dame's just recruiting at a different clip. Ty.
I'll add another one, Kingston Viliamuasa. One of my favorite things that I love going to all these games, getting the press box bird's eye view, that guy is shot out of a cannon every single play, ends up in the backfield more plays than not, whether it's tackling a quarterback, a running back, even getting out on the flats to wide receivers. Like, and that was a recruiting battle, right? Like, it wasn't a lock for him to go to Notre Dame, and he ends up at Notre Dame and instantly elevates the linebacker room.
Yep, beating out USC and Ohio State for him. Anyone else have thoughts on this? I have another question I want to ask the panel, but I guess looking at this field right now, and then maybe anyone on the fringe, like a Texas and OU, Vanderbilt, I don't know, but like, who do you think are good matchups for Notre Dame? Maybe some teams you're like, I don't like the Irish in that matchup. Anyone raise their hand and have thought here?
I haven't studied it enough. I did last year going into the playoff. I thought Tennessee.
Oh, Oregon, I got the idea. Wait, I'm sorry, Eric. Did you mention this on your show last night? Because
somebody
got this
asked
idea
that
from you
last night.
Yeah, I watched the entire show. It's a first.
Oh my gosh! And you didn't fall asleep, or maybe you did. But I mean, just in just looking at some of the statistics without doing a deep dive, you think about the teams that would give Notre Dame the most problems, and somebody with a balanced offense and somebody that has a killer run defense that really can not have to load the box to give Notre Dame problems with the run. I think those are the kinds of teams, and I think Ohio State would be that kind of team. I don't think Georgia is, and I didn't think Georgia was the hardest matchup last year. I would have to look at the others. Indiana profiles very well on both sides of the ball. I don't think Ole Miss is horrible. Looking at these other teams, Oregon is kind of a mystery to me.
Yeah,
Texas Tech might be a problem.
Texas Tech actually has the number one run defense in the country. As soon as you said rushing defense, Eric, I went there. They're number one in the country in rushing defense, and with them being an 8, Notre Dame being a 10, that's like any one of those matchups that can change right there. So,
but Tech lost their game when their starting quarterback was out, and he's really good.
To answer your question, Mike, like anyone not in that top 4, maybe even some of the teams in that top 4, like I think Notre Dame could run it back with A&M. That was a 1-point game, and Notre Dame's better since then. A&M might be better since then too. Again, I think A&M is one of the best teams in the country. They've earned where they are right there, getting one of those buys. But I watch Alabama and I'm like, if Ty Simpson isn't completely locked in and dialed, then that's a beatable team. Indiana's a lot better with the new quarterback than they were last year. So it would not be the same instance of, oh, Notre Dame's going to beat Indiana. It's Indiana. It's not that this year with them, but that doesn't mean I don't think Notre Dame can't beat that Indiana team. I do think Notre Dame can beat that Indiana team. The only, like, I see all of these logos, and I know it's about way more than the logo, but it's that dang Ohio State one that I look at it and I'm like, there's a bugaboo there, and the Irish just can't beat them. Every other logo, either you have beaten them, or in my mind, you can if you're Notre Dame.
Robbie, where are you at on this?
No, I think Tyler's spot on. I mean, there's a little bugaboo to take Tyler's word with Ohio State, especially, you know, I was there at the game, and just like the feeling after the game was just so shitty that just looking at that logo, you know, makes you kind of sick to your stomach. But you know, I out of the top 3 teams, I do think that they are very beatable, and I think this might be a very even playing field minus Memphis. Sorry if you're a Memphis fan. But, you know, I think Ole Miss is pretty scary. I don't know how you guys feel about Lane Kiffin, but I think he's got his guys playing at a pretty high level. Georgia, I don't fear. I don't know enough about Texas Tech, but if you have the number 1 run defense in the country, that is something that is pretty special, especially late in the year, to lean on. Yeah. So, and you mix that with a pretty good quarterback, you know, they could be an issue. BYU, again, I'm you know, it's hard to respect a team with a quarterback with number 47, but that kid is playing kind of out of his mind. So, but yeah, I mean, nobody really strikes fear with me. I think Oregon is, you know, standard with, you know, being overrated. So they don't really, I don't really strike fear to me. But A&M, I'd love to see us run it back with them.
Yeah, Robbie, I love that take. I was going to say Ole Miss. Like, I think Ole Miss is pretty good. I mean, they've been scoring. I mean, they had a stinker against Washington State at home, scoring 24 points. Not sure what happened on that day, but, you know, I think they've got some pretty quality wins. You know, their loss against Georgia, 43-35. I would say Ole Miss could be a little scary. And then there's the human element of this, whereas I think Notre Dame would beat A&M by 10 points. I really do. On a neutral field. I think that Notre Dame, you know, would. Because I think that revenge factor.
Well, I think our defense is playing at a way higher level than it was, and
so much better.
You know, and A&M, you know, again, it seems like these teams are all getting better as the season goes, right? Like we're talking about trending upwards, but I do feel like our defense is not going to give up that many points again.
The Georgia
and our offense is unreal.
Georgia's kind of the flip side for me. Like, I mean, you're going to beat Georgia 2 years in a row. I think that would be tricky. Bama, I could see Notre Dame beating Bama. I you know, someone said in the chat, like, I still don't know. I don't know where. Let's see if I can find it. Someone was like, I'm not too sure about Indiana. Like, I still don't have a strong opinion on Indiana yet. Like Ohio State is still the one for me. Is this a safe place?
Well,
or do we need to be a Notre Dame homer?
On the flip side of that logo scare, if you look at the IU logo, that does not.
No, not at all. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah.
I just saw the path there, like looking at it. It's hard for me to look at this and knowing that it's not going to be this in a month.
Not even close.
But if
just leave the top right corner and we'll be all right.
Yeah, if it was that, like, my goodness, I think Notre Dame's going to the national championship again if they can get their revenge in on A&M. Like, I think Notre Dame beats BYU. I think Notre Dame beats Indiana, and then the storyline in that national semifinal against A&M would be amazing. And if Ole Miss knocks off A&M, then that could be a tough one, because to y'all's point on Lane Kiffin, if you catch him on a day when he has that thing completely dialed and they're just rolling through those plays and the offense knows exactly what it's doing, they could have 28 on you in the first half before you knew it. And then you're like, oh gosh, we're playing catch up. That's not what you want to do in a playoff game. So
they also give up a lot of points.
Hold on, guys.
It'd be a track meet.
73 likes on this video. We got 590 people watching. Can we hit the thumbs up on this video, please? That'd be very much appreciated.
Okay, let's see if Robbie knows who the offensive coordinator is for Ole Miss.
Hey, I saw him right away. It's Charlie Jr.
That's right, Charlie Weiss Jr.
Hey, he's doing. Actually, they panned to him after a big fourth and one that they ended up getting. So I got all excited. I didn't realize he was there until then. So I'm really happy for that guy.
He's really good. He was at Mike's alma mater,
USF,
South Florida.
So didn't somebody just try to take him and he stayed at Ole Miss?
He was a hot name in the
few years ago.
probably the last like 2 cycles, honestly. Is this his second or third year at Ole Miss?
I feel like we put him on like a hot board or something when Denbrock got the job. Like I feel like he was probably on there.
Yeah.
Something about Ohio State. I just I don't like the matchup for Notre Dame.
Well, do you think it's and maybe I'm wrong, but do you think it's because Ohio State seems to not have such a tough schedule that you kind of don't know, who you're going to get when you face them? That's kind of how I feel.
For me, with Ohio State, it's they literally have not lost to anybody not named Michigan and now Oregon after last year. And they went around and beat Oregon later on in the Rose Bowl. Those are the only 2 teams that they've lost to in the regular season in the last, I think it's like 3 or 4 seasons. It's a crazy stat.
Really?
They just don't lose to anybody. Like Notre Dame had 2 cracks at them in that time and couldn't get them. Played them tough both times and probably could have won one of those, but they just they don't lose. Ohio State doesn't lose. And it's very annoying because it's very easy to hate Ohio State, but that's the thing with them. They just win.
Leonard Moore shadows Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate is Grace. That's it. I mean, that's all right. You convinced me. That'll be simple. And Notre Dame will have no problem stopping that. I mean, bro.
Shoot, I forgot about their offense.
Is really playing good football.
He's playing really freaking good, and Carnell Tate has got a. Is there any better wide receiver 2s in the country than Carnell Tate? They're just loaded. And then, they got, their defense is pretty darn solid too. And that Texas win is now looking better.
And who caught the game-winning touchdown in that thing? It wasn't Jeremiah Smith. It was Carnell Tate on about a 35-yard go right down the middle, deep post. They're good.
Yeah. So
but can they catch a deep post when another receiver's almost going to hit them?
I want to see Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate run deep posts at each other.
Did anyone ask? Was Carr available to the media tonight?
Yeah, he said he was throwing
about that play.
I don't know if he was just saving his own butt, saving Malachi Fields' butt, whoever it was, but he said he was throwing the ball to Malachi Fields. So
okay.
I think Will Pauling was just in the route. Actually, he did expound on that a little bit more. He said Will Pauling should have broken off the route a little shallower and instead of running in the deeper posts. So it was on Will Pauling, but then Will Pauling got his touchdown later in the game, so it all worked out.
He sure did. All right, any other playoff rankings thoughts, guys, that we haven't talked about yet before we move on?
The USC-Oregon game is going to be huge for the perception of Notre Dame. As much as people don't like USC, hold your nose and cheer for the Trojans because that'll help Notre Dame.
How much more help does Notre Dame need from USC? Like,
I think if they won out, for example, it would keep Notre Dame. It would keep any doubts about, well, who's Notre Dame's best win?
Okay.
Because right now, that's Notre Dame's best win.
And this is the scary part. Notre Dame beats Pitt in a week and a half. Pitt's out of the rankings. USC does what USC does and finishes 8-4, and they drop out of the rankings. Notre Dame will not have beaten a team in the rankings, and the committee looks at that at the end of the year. How many teams in this last set of 25 on December again, whatever that date is? I need to get it drilled into my mind. How many teams in these 25 have you beaten? If Notre Dame's answer is 0, and there is some resume comparisons, you want that data point. So Robbie, how easy for you would it be to root for USC the rest of the way? I'm curious.
Well, we whooped that ass, so not too worried about it. As long as we beat them, the rest of the season, if it helps us fight on, you know what I mean? So I ain't worried about that, but it would be tough to cheer on Michigan if we had to do that. So that's the rivalry I kind of can't stand.
We're at 145 likes now, so let's get that up to 300. Can we double that? Get up to 300 or so? Go ahead, Eric.
I got a question for Robbie. So in 2012, Notre Dame starts the season unranked. And you guys start working your way up. Now, this is with the old BCS system, so only 2 teams are going to make the playoff. At what point did you guys start getting engaged in, wow, maybe we can get there. Maybe we can get
You
there.
know what's actually funny about that is I remember I was in my living room and I got a call from Harrison Smith, Mike Floyd, and Robert Blanton, and this was before our first game, and they had asked, "Oh, Toma, what do you how do you think you guys are going to do this year?" And I said, honestly, I think we're going to go 10-2. I was a little worried about, I think it was Oklahoma and of course the USC game at the end of the year. So I was like, hey, I think we're going to go 10-2, and they laughed their asses off. And as we kept winning, I would want to say things started to get pretty serious when we beat Michigan State on the road in prime time, and
they were in the top 10.
And then obviously going to Oklahoma was when we were like, oh, we can do this damn thing. So that was definitely pretty cool. And I kind of remember after we beat Oklahoma, I'm pretty sure I gave Harrison a call and let him hear it.
I've always kind of maintained that the Oklahoma win was one of the most important games for Notre Dame in the 2000s. To me, that was kind of the start of everything. It was the first time Notre Dame really played in a difficult environment as an underdog, even though Notre Dame was ranked higher, and flipped the script. Do you agree with me?
Yeah,
Robbie?
I think the dominance that we showed to close out the game was probably the most impressive, especially on the road. And that was something that we were extremely proud of that season, where we ran the football exceptionally well, defended, and they had that guy, I think is the Bell, where they did that little choo-choo train thing. And I feel like we silenced their crowd, and man, getting chicken skin thinking about it.
Every single time I hear that about that Oklahoma game, I just see Manti's diving interception. Oh man, I remember watching that game at my uncle's house. What a good time. Great.
There's a funny warm-up story, because we were in our whites, and I forgot who it was. I think it was maybe Tommy had thrown a ball kind of over my head in warm-ups, and I don't know why. You never dive in warm-ups, but I did. And I caught it with my left hand, and I looked up, and there wasn't a single person who saw it. And John Goodman looked at me and he's like, "What the hell happened to you? I'm all dirty." So, and then a friend of mine was in the stands, and he said, "You had the best catch of all time during warm-up." So one person in the stadium saw it.
All right, we have an explanation from CFP committee chair Mac Rhodes. I'm going to read that. I just got to pull it up. I have it on my phone, but I need to pull it up on my computer here. So let me go ahead and do that. Oh, wait, what is this? Is this a live look at Robbie Toma seeing Notre Dame get ranked number 10?
Oh, hey, AI is a scary thing.
No, this
guys.
is not AI, bro. What are you talking about?
God,
that wasn't you seeing the rankings today?
Dude, I look like an absolute linebacker. I look like I'm
You do look like a unit.
Yeah, I look like.
Yeah, it looks like you mixed Robbie with Landon Tengwall.
Or Carlo. Carlo
We had Carlo on the radio show the other week.
Did you?
Yeah,
he was talking about you. You said hi to Meatball.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That's good.
So Ari Wasserman, I'm not surprised, asked Mac about the ranking, and he said, "I think it starts with 2 losses, total of 4 points against 2 very, very good teams. One of them ranked 3rd in the country, and one ranked 18th. We talked about it. I think early on, defensively, maybe they weren't as good as what we thought they would be, but certainly most recent, it seems like they've been much, much better defensively. Shout out Chris Ash. A lot of you wanted them run out of town. Good thing Notre Dame didn't. 6 straight wins. You look at their backfield, Jadarian Price, Jeremiah Love, probably the best backfield in the country when you think about their 1-2 punch. Going into the USC game, they lost their starting center for the year, and they were able to overcome that and run for a bunch of yards against Southern Cal. When we look at the tape, we think Notre Dame's a really solid football team, both sides of the ball. I mean, this is pretty good stuff. I think we may have lost Robbie. But yeah, I mean, I'm encouraged looking at it. It's like, all right, they're really doing their homework, Eric. Thoughts on this reaction from Mac Rhodes?
I think that's what I kind of expected the committee to think. And again, as I evaluate Notre Dame for my AP poll, That's what I'm thinking too. I'm looking at how much they improved. I think in the days of the BCS, it wasn't so much what you did at the end of the year. It was every game counted kind of the same. In this 12-team playoff, they're looking for teams that are peaking at the right time. Who are you in November? And I think that's really important because teams do evolve over the season. And that's why the 2 losses to this point haven't hurt Notre Dame. It could, because again, you're depending on help from other people. But I think that's a very solid analysis of it. And I think what bugs people, Mike, is that people want transparency and a template. They want to be able to predict these themselves. Transparency they're getting. A template they're never going to get. It's just too subjective.
Way too subjective. Horka?
Yeah, I think these comments bode really well for Notre Dame because, and maybe just this is the way this committee is going to operate. And I guess we know that for a fact now that Miami is ranked all the way down at number 18, is that what are you doing for me right now? How do you look as a football team right now? And this committee is seeing Jeremiah Love make a case for the Heisman Trophy. This committee is seeing a Notre Dame defense play as well as any in the nation right now, having only given up a touchdown in what is it, 3 of the last 4 games, 4 of the last 5? What is it now, Mike? You're the Notre Dame defense guy, but like it's been really, really good for that side of the ball. And then on the other side of the ball, like I said, you have a Heisman Trophy candidate. Like that's huge. And you don't have to lean on him as much as some other teams with Heisman Trophy candidates do, because the next guy that you give the ball to, Jadarian Price, is also really, really freaking good. Home run threat every time he touches it. CJ Carr is better than anyone would have thought in his redshirt freshman season. And he's only going to get better probably throughout this month of November. If he is who we think he is, and I think that's pretty well out there by now, a gamer, a dude, a guy who wants to get better. There's just so much to like about this Notre Dame team that I don't want to say you overlook 2 losses to begin the season because those count. They're in the record. Like you see them, but this Notre Dame team will definitely beat one of those 2 teams that it lost to. It would beat Miami. And then I think there's a lot of people that would pick Notre Dame to beat Texas A&M, or at least be a toss-up 50-50. And we're talking about a Texas A&M team that's one of the 3 best teams in the country. Unequivocally, that's a fact. So, like, what is there to not like about Notre Dame right now?
Okay.
Not a lot, if anything.
And the CJ Carr is a huge point. That pass efficiency statistic is so common for teams that make the championship game and win championships. Let me tell you who the top 6 quarterbacks are now, right where they play. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, Washington, all in the top 25 rankings. And those first 5 are all in the playoff field. Having a great quarterback matters.
That's a good point.
Beeston says A&M gave up 42 to Arkansas at home. So I know, Eric, that's something you've talked about. The committee will do those kind of comparisons. Like,
yeah, you look at comparative scores. Notre Dame beat Arkansas 56-13. Memphis scored 31 on that Arkansas defense. Tennessee scored 31. Or I'm sorry, Arkansas scored 31 on those teams. Arkansas offense scored 31 on Tennessee, 31 on Memphis, 42 on Texas A&M, 35 on Ole Miss, and was driving for the winning touchdown. So a game like Arkansas does matter when you have limited data. That connects Notre Dame to the SEC teams.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so subjective because then how do you weigh 25-10 against Boston College, like against Notre Dame? Do you just say, oh, well, that was an off game, but then then do you say Arkansas was an anomaly the opposite way for the Irish? Like,
well, I think you can have one of those. I think that's what hurt Texas a little bit is they have a few of those. They have a few of those close calls. And really everybody, maybe except Ohio State, has one. Indiana has one with Iowa, for instance. I mean, everybody, Oregon, the Penn State game's kind of a clunker now for them almost. That game had to go into overtime. But it's still Notre Dame beat BC by more than Louisville did, and Boston College has been playing better with Grayson James as their quarterback. But yeah, had that game been a higher scoring game, I think it would have looked worse for Notre Dame. And had it ended at 18-10 instead of 25-10, I think it would have been a problem.
Okay.
More of a problem.
Should have easily been at least 31-10, by the way, but this is not a show that we need to talk about the kicking.
Robbie, what'd you make of the kicking game?
Oh, man. I've never been a huge fan of kickers. While we're doing conditioning, they're in the Goog playing video games. So never been a huge fan of. No, I'm just kidding.
That would have been an awesome story.
No, it is. No, they actually did that, and I think Ben Turk had hit a bad punt one day, and I said, "Well, stop playing video games." But love you, Turk. But no, I feel for these kickers. I think at this point, I think Eric, maybe you said it, but you got to pick one guy and just ride with them now, and try to give them some confidence and get this thing rolling, because the last thing you want to do is lose a game from another kicking mishap, right? So
and Notre Dame needed its kickers.
Fix that.
Notre Dame needed its kickers in the college football playoff last year. So if we're talking about a college football playoff team, you better have your kicking situation down.
That's right.
I saw this. I thought this was interesting. The simulated BCS versus the CFP. And for folks watching on YouTube, the top 6 is the same. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. And then, the committee wasn't as high as Oregon, on high as Oregon as the AP poll. But like for the most part, it's very similar. Look at 10 through 12. Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma mirroring.
Speaking of trending up, though, didn't Florida State handle Alabama pretty easily?
Very, 31-14, 31-10.
Yeah, so obviously Bama's playing a lot better ball now, but the committee probably turned the cheek on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I think they looked at it the same way they look at Notre Dame. They think, okay, this team has gotten a lot better since then. It's not that game doesn't matter, but who they are now, if they played Florida State again, I think the committee would think they'd probably beat them by multiple touchdowns.
And that's why, in a sense, it's good. Not good, but it's good to lose early, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If the later, if you're trending down, you're kind of screwed, right? So
that's another thing that's remained consistent with BCS and CFP. Lose earlier, man. Don't lose late. It will screw you.
I get the momentum thing, and that's like a part of the subjectivity and eye test that should be considered, but also when you lose shouldn't matter. In my opinion, it shouldn't.
I disagree.
But it's hard not to judge on that at that point in the season, right? It shouldn't, but it has to be that way. So life's not fair.
Like the 12 best teams, then it's the 12 best playing at that time of the year which I get. I mean, if you're, I don't know, you gotta.
It's not that those early losses don't matter, but
they don't matter as much.
They don't matter as much because teams evolve over the year. Basketball has been doing that for years. I mean, they used to even have a metric of the last 10 games being weighed more. I mean, it was part of their formula. They don't do it as much now, but they used to. And you think about this is how teams build. And otherwise, nobody's going to schedule somebody like Texas A&M and Miami that early in the season when you don't have your team together, where you're still figuring things out.
I will say I love college football way more than I love the NFL. But, Mike, you're an NFL fan, as I am. It doesn't matter when you lose in the NFL. Literally, your record is the only thing that matters in the end. You either win your division, you get in the wild card, whatever. You could lose week 18 and win your division and be fine and have that top spot or whatever. So
you have so many more data points that connect those teams.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, you're comparing BYU to Virginia, and it's hard because they don't have things in common. Yeah. There's teams that even within conferences now. I remember trying to compare Penn State and Indiana last year, and they got to maybe week 9, before either of them had played a common opponent, and they're in the same conference.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Eric. But I just don't think I like that. I understand it, but I don't love it. I don't know. I feel like they should be weighed more equally, but like I said, I understand it.
And again, had Notre Dame got blown out by Miami, that's a different story.
Here's the thing, though, and I think I raised this literally all the way back in mid-September, Mike. It might have been a roundtable or a six-pack. If Notre Dame was 10-2 but lost to Texas A&M in the penultimate game and then lost to Miami in the final game, they wouldn't make the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
The CFP would see that, the committee would see that and be like, oh, God, no, this is who they are at the end. See you later. And they could have literally done the exact same thing. Lose by 1, lose by 3, beat everyone the same way that you beat them, beat USC by 10, BC by 15, yada, yada, all the way up until then. But those 2 games, in the end, you're out. You're not getting in. Like we see who you are right now, and you're out. And that's
I think they could lose
God forbid, lose to NIU at the end.
Yeah, I think they could lose.
Taking us out right away.
Yeah,
I think they could lose to one of those 2 and still get in. For example, like with Texas, I think if Texas beats Georgia, especially if it's convincingly, then barely loses to Texas A&M on their last game of the regular season and don't make the SEC championship game, I could see Texas having a case for inclusion with 3 losses.
It would
that
be
would
the
be an
Alabama
interesting
case
debate.
Last year, and I wasn't a fan of the Alabama case last year. It's like as soon as you have 3 losses, to me, it's you couldn't have won one more of those games. Like, come on now.
I'm with you on that one, Tyler. I think the 3-loss team should not, especially because that's not the SEC title game. That's the last regular season game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if Texas is still a 2-loss team at that point, that game will, and assuming A&M takes care of who they're going to take care of. Sorry, Missouri, Jack Sobel, but your freshman quarterback's not going to beat the Aggies, and I think he agrees with me on that. If A&M and Texas win out, the winner of that game gets into the SEC championship, which will be pretty exciting for a Thanksgiving weekend game.
First response on this tweet that I popped up is from the actual Connor Stallions. How about that?
Oh gosh,
he says surprisingly got it right.
I always forget that he's still like kicking around and does
media appearances, and you think he would have just
maybe we could have him on the round table some Sunday.
Let me ask you guys this. I'll start with Robbie. We're having a lot of discussions assuming Notre Dame's going to win out. Robbie, do you expect Notre Dame to win out and win these next 4 games? Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford?
I do. I think Pittsburgh is a lot better than we've anticipated, but I mean, I think we'll handle our business, and I'm very confident that Freeman got these boys rolling. I mean, it's the second year in a row that we've essentially had to win, 10 to 9 games in a row. So these guys are used to pressure, and I think we'll be all right.
Eric?
I do think they'll win out. I do think the Pittsburgh game, I've been saying this for a long time, is the potential trap game. It's going to be a sticky game. Being on the road and also having to shift back out of defending Navy and having to do a pass-heavy offense. Pittsburgh does some things that will give Notre Dame issues. They're one of the top 10 run defenses in the country. They sack the quarterback a lot. They take a lot of chances with their blitzes. They are not a good pass defense. And so if CJ Carr is on, Notre Dame wins that game, and maybe easily by double digits. If he's having a difficult day, then that could be a white knuckler.
Tyler?
Notre Dame by double digits in all of these games. Easily gets 10-2.
Drop the mic, Tyler.
Do you guys think Navy will cover against Notre Dame, or do you like Notre Dame 25.5?
It's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
You trying to get a lock in here? Trying to make some money here, Mike?
I don't bet on college football. But,
Jeez.
hey, NFL.
No,
hey, let me tell you something about the NFL. Under first half, 24.5. That's all I gotta say. First half under 24.5. This is not gambling advice, but on the NFL.
I live in Hawaii. Gambling's illegal, so
money.
Got to move it back to Indiana, man.
I know, right? Gotta freeze.
It's getting cold.
But yes, you guys think it's close? That is a lot of points.
I don't think it's a close game, but I mean that's a lot of points in a game where there's limited possessions.
Yeah,
I need to apologize.
25 is a ton of points for a ball control offense like Navy. I mean, even if you stop them, they're typically going to get 2 to 3 yards a pop, and then it's up to you to stop them on 4th down because they like to go for it so much. So it is tough to beat Navy by more than 25.
I sincerely apologize to Houston, Linehan, and Just One Andy Gal. I totally forgot about these super chats. $5 super chat from Houston. Really appreciate it. It says, do you think Notre Dame is at the reload stage or the rebuild stage at this point? I think this was we might have been talking about how Notre Dame's more respected. That might have been the conversation at this point in super chat. I mean, the answer is obviously reload. Notre Dame rebuilds to reload every offseason with some impact transfers.
With the portal, you should not be in rebuild mode.
Yeah.
Even with just limited portal pickups.
Yeah. Yeah. About 6 or 7 every year. Anyone, Robbie, Tyler, thoughts on this?
No, I think we're crushing it. Oh gosh. No, I think Freeman's crushing it with reloading as opposed to rebuilding, and it's showing week in and week out.
The thing that's warping my mind is that the answer is obviously reload, but Notre Dame's been a 2-loss team all year. So when you think about that, it's like, oh, they've gotten worse. But no, they lost on the road in a season opener against a Miami team that was really good at that time.
Yeah.
And then you lost by 1 point, and you had an extra point snafu in that game to boot against a clear top 5 team in the country. So it's reload. Like Notre Dame's one of the – you heard Nick Saban and Reese Davis on Saturday, right? Notre Dame is one of the top 5 teams in the country right now. And that's a crazy thing that we haven't brought to this conversation yet. Is
right? Just kidding.
Like we're talking about, is Notre Dame a top 10 team because they're right there at number 10? 2 of the smartest minds in the sport just told you on Saturday that they think that Notre Dame is a top 5 team in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think about the A&M games and just, was it Craver just running wide open over the middle of the field, doing whatever he wants. And just thinking like Notre Dame's has, like you think about each position group. It's like, all right, defensive line, struggling to get a pass rush, which I want to throw up a nugget on that in a second. But like, I still believe in Bryce Young and Boubacar. And then like, all right, linebackers, there's so much talent there. The DBs have so much talent. They're going to figure this thing out. And they definitely have. And that's why Notre Dame's on such a high trajectory.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I gotta dip. I gotta go do pickup. It's still 4:30 in Hawaii.
Robbie, appreciate you, brother.
Hey, we'll talk to you guys soon. Go Irish.
Great stuff from Robbie Tome. I love having his insight on here. Just One Andy Gal, $10 for number 10 ranking. Man, I wish Notre Dame was 25. I'm just joking. Also, scale 1 to 10. How important are style points to A, secure our spot, B, host? Eric, I really love doing shows with you because I know you have I would say strong opinion, but I'm sure it's based in what the committee actually values because you have the guidebook memorized.
Right. So the new strength of schedule metric is going to not give you as much credit for style points against weak competition. If you beat a ranked team by a lot, by double digits, that's going to count. That's going to matter. Also, there are such things as good losses now because of that strength of schedule metric. They want teams to schedule tough at a conference. And if you don't do that, then teams will just play cupcakes and then their conference schedule. So if you lose to a bad team, that's really going to hurt you. Northern Illinois loss last year might have cost Notre Dame a seed spot or 2. They still would have been in, but maybe it cost them a seed spot or 2. So for them, what's the style points look like? If you beat Pittsburgh by double digits, a ranked team, that's style points. If you beat Stanford by 60 instead of 30, that's not style points.
Yeah. Just One Andy Gal, really appreciate the $10 super chat. Just check. We're at 217 likes right now. Let's hit 300, please. If you have not done so yet, hit the thumbs up on this video. There was something else you said. Oh, Eric, like, okay, we've talked about a ton. Like, they value this, they don't value this. You've talked about transparency that the committee has, but you do want that answer of like how much these things value. Is there like some kind of pie chart, like a head-to-head in some scenarios versus it not meaning as much, or the strength of the loss or the strength of the schedule or all these things, like, or is it more subjective completely?
It's more subjective. If you were playing it, if there were only, let's say they had super conferences, you only had 32 teams, there would be so much more common data to kind of do, and you could maybe template this a little bit more. But look at the heads now. For them, Texas and Oklahoma, it kind of did matter there, and Virginia and Louisville, it did.
Georgia, Bama.
But when you start comparing the resumes and you see a team sliding off, and you say, well, gosh, Miami, they should be ahead of Notre Dame. They're the 7th place team in the ACC right now. They have no shot at making the ACC title game. Those things matter, and they don't all line up perfectly so that you have perfect apples to apples. I think I said in my column, it's like you'd be lucky if it was apples to oranges. It's like apples to house plants or carburetors. I mean, it's just not, it's really difficult for somebody that's had to do a poll and loves doing it for more than 2 decades of my 4 decades doing this. It's a hard exercise to do, even with caffeine.
All right, one more thing, Horka, your thoughts on this. Highest pressure without blitzing, right? So this is just bringing your D-line. Notre Dame's at number 8, 37.4% of the time they are getting through. This is per PFF. That's a great list to be on. That is what we have really hoped for Notre Dame, to at times not have to bring the house to get pressure. Like, this is a significant improvement. This is a great list to be on.
Yeah, for as long as I've been covering Notre Dame, if it hasn't been an Isaiah Foskey 11-sack season, the question has always been, how's Notre Dame going to get pressure on the quarterback by just rushing 4 guys? Like, it just doesn't happen enough. It's happening, like, right before our very eyes, and I think that has a lot to do with Notre Dame's defensive renaissance throughout this season. It's no coincidence that when Notre Dame started playing really good defensive football, I'll use the same word, coincided with Notre Dame being able to just get to the quarterback and maybe not sack him every single time, because I don't think Notre Dame has the 8th most sacks in the country, but pressure him. That's the impetus of this list right here, is pressures. Get to the quarterback in a way that makes him make a play that is not the one that he was going to make if he was able to just sit in the pocket and pinpoint where he was going to pass the ball. So that's huge, man, because when they're playing well like that up front, you can get a little creative with linebacker blitzes and whatnot and get even more pressure. And then the defensive backs are able to play a little more free, a little bit more confidently. It all starts up front. Marcus Freeman is not yanking your chain when he tells you that. It's real, and it's happening for Notre Dame right now.
They were in the 130s in sacks the first few weeks. They are 19th right now, and their other defensive numbers are like that. And they've played some really good offenses. That's the thing. Arkansas is still a top 10 offense. They stink everywhere else, and they fired their coach, but they're a very good offense with one of the best quarterbacks. This defensive improvement's for real. And if they can shut down Navy, the number 1 rushing offense in the country, and all the weird things that they do, that's, you hold them under 20, that'll be a big win for Notre Dame in terms of their defensive progression. And with the injuries they've had to dodge too.
Yeah. Did Horka have a mustache? I'm trying to see. Yeah, we're the two caterpillars going towards each other.
That was the last straw. Whoever had that comment on the Six Pack show.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
I tried not laughing on Wednesday when that guy said that about your mustache. That was so freaking funny. Oh man. I didn't know whether to be like, hey, don't talk about my boy like that, or laugh. And I leaned more laughing.
Well, Jack started laughing, and then you were in the background, and I guarantee that you were laughing because we couldn't even see your face on the screen.
That's true.
You had every right to laugh. Nobody would have ever known it.
All three guys are classy. Brian, thank you very much. I think 2 of the 3 are classy. I'm kind of the goober around here, but that is going to do it for this show. If you're just joining us, rewind, watch from the beginning. We went live pretty soon after the rankings drop, so you can get our initial reaction from that. And please hit the thumbs up on this YouTube video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Go to blueandgold.com for so much more like news and analysis and like here's what the news is. Here's what the news means from Tyler Horka, from Eric Hansen, Jack Sobel, and Tyler James, and then me and Kyle Kelly cover recruiting at Blue and Gold. So I'm doing a story tomorrow on what the national media is saying about Notre Dame being ranked in the 10 spot. So some great stuff. You're going to want to lock in to blueandgold.com. Next live show tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Tyler Horka and Jack Sobel. We'll talk more college football playoff rankings and other things going on in the world of Notre Dame football. So again, hit the thumbs up if you have not done so yet, and we will catch you guys next time.